Can anybody explain? We should do a poll. Like, can anybody explain to me why FF48, the first Silver Surfer, is worth so much more, exponentially more than the book that came out 4 months later, Fantastic Four 52, First Black Panther?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 28 of the Comic Room Pod. I'm your host, Spro. And with me, as always, co-host, Mr. Longbox. Welcome in, guys. Good to be here for another week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lot to talk about today. As you can see by the wall behind us, it's themed.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what the theme is. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah. I wonder. Did something come out this week? What happened?
But unless you've been sleeping under a rock, the Daredevil trailer dropped this week, which I'm very excited about. Well, both of us are excited about it. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. Show and tell, as always. And we're going to be giving our market predictions for 2025. Yeah. So that's kind of what we got in store. We're back to the 3-camera setup. Finally, I have some time this weekend to edit, actually, instead of like sitting down, chopping off the beginning and the end and putting it together. So because of that, there will be time codes in the description. So for people that actually use those, there you go.
Yep.
You can follow us on Instagram. I'm at Spros_comics, and he is at Mr. Longbox. And yeah, let's get into show and tell. Why don't you go first? Because my show and tell will lead us straight into news. So.
All right. So, well, last episode I teased that I would have something special to show. I have to postpone that a week because of some delivery. Maybe longer with some delivery complications. If you've been in this hobby long enough, those things do sometimes happen. Yep. And so I'm waiting. But I have something else that is just as good to show. It is a new acquisition, and this is those of you who've been following this podcast long enough, you know why I love this one. This is Little Lulu, issue number 1.
Very nice.
Purple label, restored 8.5 off-white to white pages.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really nice. And the back actually is, This is 1948, so they weren't even selling advertising space on the back yet.
Yeah.
They just put another little comic strip on the back. This one is the resto label reads moderate A3. So A3 means it was professionally done. Moderate means that it's more than just a slight amount of restoration. It's a moderate amount of restoration. And I'll tell you what the restoration on this was. Restoration includes color touch, pieces added, reinforced, cleaned, and interior lightened. Nice. So basically a professional restoration job. Probably, I have no idea when it was done, but I don't think it was recent because I'm not sure people are paying to do that level of restoration anymore because they don't maybe want to have the purple label.
Yeah.
My take on it is, all things considered, I'll take a blue label. Like, who wouldn't? But when you're talking about a book from the 1940s, especially a key like an issue number 1 like this, it really doesn't matter to me if it's a restored label. I think a restoration becomes more of like a conserved thing, like you're conserving it for the hobby. And the reason it's interesting because I bought this on eBay, so there were 2 8.5s at the same time for sale. One was restored and one was universal. The universal was $1,000. This one here I paid. I don't want to disclose everything because we made a deal off, but it was obviously way less than that, right? But the funny thing is this version, this 8.5 version was so much cleaner than the universal 8.5. Like it had ticks on it and everything.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, I'm looking at it and it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
it looks brand new. I do not look at that and see a purple label. I look at that and go, that's the most beautiful looking Little Lulu issue number 1 I've ever seen, because it is the most beautiful looking Little Lulu issue number 1 I've ever seen. And the census backs me up. I did research on it, as you guys know. We all do that before we make a purchase. But listen to to the research on this one here, the data on this one. This is from CGC. There are 75 Little Lulu number ones on the census in any of any.
Wow.
Well, I should say 79 of any in any condition at all. It includes signature, qualified, restored, whatever. In 8.5, well, let's put it this way. There's one, the highest grade universal is 9.4. There's one of those. There is one universal 9.2. There are 3 universal 9.0s, and there are 2 universal 8.5s. That's it.
Wow.
As far as restored, how many restored 8.5s are there in existence? You're looking at the only one. That's it. There's the only one. There is a restored 9.0 in existence. Somewhere on here, I think I'm right. No, there isn't. No, the highest restored is 8. I've got the highest restored book. Hey,
nice.
But basically, there just aren't very many on the census at all. So it was about as close to no brainer as it gets.
Sure.
I'm actually waiting on an eBay gift card. A couple of eBay gift cards come in the mail. You know how you rack up your credit card points? Well, that's what I use them for. And I have a couple $100 worth of eBay gift cards coming in the mail. And I timing just wasn't quite right for me to wait around for those to show up. I just pulled the trigger because this book, it's not a stretch to say I'll never see that again. I knew I'd never have an opportunity again. And I wasn't going to spend $1,000 for Little Lulu one in a Blue Label 8.5, especially if when it didn't look like an 8.5. I'm serious. That book should have been a 7.5.
Yeah.
Based on what I saw on the cover. I mean, it's dark blue, so it shows everything, right? But anyway, I have a theory as to why there aren't very many copies of high grade Little Lulu books, and that theory is gender specific, honestly, and that is, and this is me as a father of 2 girls.
And a husband to one wife.
And a husband to one wife. The girls, when it comes to collecting or whatever, and playing with toys, girls are not the same as guys.
Yeah.
Generalizing here, of course. But we guys, we save our stuff, right?
Like we're hoarders.
We're hoarders. We're making our man caves, and collecting things for our man caves when we're kids.
Starting with rocks.
Yeah, exactly. You walk down the street, you see a rock, you think it's that's a crystal, and you take it, put it in your pocket. When you get home, what do you do with it? You put it in like a shoebox or something like that, right? Yeah. Your comics are in a box under your bed or in your closet. It's just what we do.
Yeah.
And finally, one day it's an age-old story. Come home from college, and our mom finally got rid of all the stuff we never threw out as kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, Mom, why?
And that's where all the Superman ones went.
And that's why comics are rare. But girls don't save their toys.
Yeah.
They might save a doll. They might save like
their one special.
Yeah. But they move on, and that stuff gets tossed or given away. And I think because plenty of Little Lulus and Disney 4-colors featuring Little Lulu were published. Plenty.
Yeah.
Little Lulu is one of the longest running, it ended, but it was one of the longest running continuous titles in comic book history. So they were selling plenty of Little Lulus. They were printing plenty of Little Lulus. You just can't find them. And you can't say, well, they're not being graded because they don't have value. That's not true. This book in an 8.5 was $1,000.
Yeah.
And in a restored was several hundred. So I mean, it's not that they don't have value. They do have value. They just don't exist. So a chance to get this thing in an 8.5, restored or not, looking like that, and that thing looks like a museum piece to me. I maybe your eyes are better than mine, but I couldn't really see what pieces were restored. Where is it? I can't see it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I saw a couple, but I won't tell you.
Yeah, don't tell me. I don't want to know. No, but I mean, I'm looking at all the corners and I'm squinting, but anyway, I'll break out a magnifying glass. But I'm so happy to add this book to my collection.
Yeah.
So I've got now 4-color 74 first appearance and a 4.0. I've got 4-color. I can't remember. I think it's 97, which is their second appearance, and an 8.0. White pages too, which is crazy.
Nice.
I think it's white pages. And then I've got 4-color 139 beat copy, probably like a 1.5 or a 2, not graded. But I don't have. There's I think 4-color 113. There's 4 Little Lulus pre Little Lulu 1. And I've got 3 of the 4. 2 of them are slabbed, and then I have Little Lulu 1, and I have her first ever appearance in Saturday Evening Post. So I'm covered, man. I'm covered for Little Lulu.
Yep.
If she ever breaks out, more than, I mean, I don't know if she'll ever like break out. Like she's not Spider-Man, right? but I do think there's a nostalgia connection with her, obviously. But also she's just she's a cool, fun character that has a long history. I just don't think I can go wrong having high grade copies, restoed or not, of her key appearances. So,
and you got some old school figurines.
I do. That's right. I picked up two old school figurines. I'll have to bring those on for show and tell. Can I do that? Okay, we can make the rules for our own podcast, right? Can my show and tell be that?
Yeah,
sometime?
sure.
Anyway, there it is. One of my this jumps up instantly to one of my favorites.
Yeah.
In my collection, that'll never probably sell. So
yeah,
someday you'll have to deal with it.
The tough thing with like the purple labels is like you do get them at a good price, but if you're trying to sell it, you have to find the right buyer.
Right.
And then if you try to sell it to like a shop, like if you were to sell that to me, like for whatever reason, it would be hard for me to give you anything close. Like
right.
Even in like the 50% range, because it's like this thing could sit for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. It's only going to be appealing to the guy like me who says, I'm trying to fill a run, or recognizes, likes the character and recognizes how rare it is.
Yeah. Unless Little Lulu blows up, but yeah,
which would be kind of fun. Would be fun. I don't need that to happen, but it would be fun if it did.
Yeah. Would you liquidate?
Nope. That's to say, I don't need it to happen. I wouldn't liquidate. But I would take the victory lap.
Sure.
And it's fun to see the value of a collection go up, whether or not you intend to sell it.
Yeah.
Because you always could if you needed to.
Yeah.
The proviso is, sure, I would sell it if I needed to.
Yeah.
Lord willing, I'm past that stage in life but I know anything could happen. Like anything could happen at any time, and suddenly you need to scrape up some capital. And we all have our comics, and we could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But this would be a harder one to sell.
Sure. Sweet book.
Thanks.
All right. My show and tell is something that I've talked about. You can leave yours up there. Mine's a raw book.
Okay.
Something that I've talked about quite a bit. I don't even. This book hits like 3 check boxes for me. Okay. Zdarsky writer, Mark Cicchetto interiors, and I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm going to read it real quick. Not Juan Toscano Anderson. What's his name? You know about Juan Toscano Anderson.
The TT guy?
Yeah.
I know how to say his last name, but I can't. Tedeschi? I don't know how to say his first name.
I should have had this pulled up, but I'm not. I didn't think I had that far. His name is, here we go, Julian Totino Tedesco. I always confuse it with Juan Toscano Anderson. That's what
JTA, baby.
That's what I always want to say.
He brought that Oakland Street vibe to the Warriors. He was good. I liked him.
One of the few Mexican basketball players.
He was a ride or die Warrior.
Orale. Okay, so this checks 3 boxes.
Yeah.
Zdarsky writer, Marco Cicchetto interior, and Tedesco cover. So Cicchetto, I think, is the current greatest interior artist. I don't think anybody's doing it better than him. I guess I'll show you guys now. I've been holding out for too long. Daredevil issue 1 from the Zdarsky run. Just an absolute gorgeous cover from Tedesco here. It is just spectacular. I love this Daredevil suit that he does. That's just like skin tight, like looks like an acrobat, which is kind of, that's what Daredevil is. But yeah, so I'm just a huge Zdarsky run fan, like you guys know. So that's issue number 1, and it couldn't be any more perfect of a. Actually, it checks 4 boxes. It's a Daredevil book. It's a Zdarsky story, Chichetto interiors, and Tedesco cover. So
and
that's 4 boxes. Make it 5, and it's an issue 1, and make it 6. The reason why I brought this out is it's a first appearance. So this is the first appearance of Detective Cole North, which I learned through watching like one of those like trailer breakdown videos. He's actually going to be in the Daredevil show.
So also a sleeper.
So yeah, there you go.
Last chance.
Detective Cole North is a super cool character with a really cool arc in this series. And I didn't know that they had read the Zdarsky run. I believe it was Charlie Cox who had said that he had read the Zdarsky run and had loved it. And so the show adding Detective Cole North just shows that they're
that bodes well
elements
for the series.
So one thing that I've kind of some of the discourse on social media is people now saying like, so now we're getting Daredevil in the MCU. The trailer looked great, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Bloody, I mean, just as you want it to be. And now people are drawing the comparisons to Pattinson's Batman in the sense that we're getting this very grounded Daredevil in the MCU, which is very magical. Like a whole lot has gone on in the MCU. And people want Pattinson's Batman to join the DCU with James Gunn. But the argument literally from the studio heads and James Gunn and everybody has been, well, this Batman's too grounded. And so now everybody's been saying like it can be done. You can tell both stories in the universe. And in the Daredevil Netflix show, I mean, season 2, there was a lot of magical elements with the hand, the resurrection of Elektra, like that. It was a very grounded New York City that they were existing in. And that season 2 had a ton of magical elements to it. And the Defenders show as well. Just, and it's cool. It's cool seeing those kind of cross over into each other. So, Detective Cole North makes an appearance in the trailer. Super cool character. I'm just super interested to see what happens.
I love the Tedesco style.
Yeah.
And you're the one that pointed him out to me, and he's got a very distinguishable signature on the covers. It's like it's 2 T's in a circle.
Yeah.
It's a real tight circle with 2 T's in it. And what you told me was, if you ever see that on a cover, just buy it.
Yeah.
Because your thought is this guy, while he's somewhat known, he hasn't really been recognized in the hobby as collectible yet.
Yeah.
But you're convinced that he is.
Yeah. I mean, look at this cover.
I know every cover that I have of his is incredible.
This is insane. This is an insane cover.
Yeah. He's done plenty of insane covers of Daredevil. And I picked up a few Action Comics where he did Superman, which I mistook it for Alex Ross. I thought it was Alex Ross when I saw it. I was like, he kind of had that sort of blocky, masculine look to him, like roided Superman a little bit, right? But that wasn't what made it spectacular to me as much as it was the just the vision of the cover. Just it was very like a painting,
Yeah,
really cool.
I think his covers more than anybody else honestly just in like the modern era, like your Scotty Youngs, your Art Germs, your Peach Momokos. I think he is very much like, is nostalgic the right word? In the sense that he tells a story with his covers.
Right.
With Art Germ, it's incredible art, but it's just like
it's a portrait.
Yeah, it's a portrait of a pose. Peach Momoko, same thing, just in her very
Jenny
unique
Frison,
style.
same thing.
Jenny Frison, same thing. Scotty Young, kind of just more of like a comedic cover.
Yeah.
But he really, just in all his covers, tells a story, which you don't see that much.
No, you don't
anymore. And even with like a lot of like Marvel and DC's kind of like their main cover artists, they all like if you're standing in front of an LCS, and this is no shame to any of them, or no shade, sorry, to any of them. This is their work. This is what they do. But sometimes when I'm like standing in front of like the new comic book week wall and I'm looking at the wall, it all just looks the same. Mm-hmm. Like it all blends.
Yeah.
And then it's guys like this who jump out.
Yeah, that's true.
And so yeah, the way that you are like Friston's the future, mm-hmm. that's like I'm the same way with him. Like it's hard for me to not buy a cover mm-hmm. when I see it done. I think he did like the first 15-ish issues for this book, and they're all insane covers.
And he takes his time too. It's not like he's got 5 covers a week, you know.
No.
Which makes it even more special.
Sometimes you won't even see one in a month.
I know. I think that's the norm.
Yeah.
Honestly, with him, what I like about what Friston has done recently is she still obviously does the portraits, all the poison ivies. You know, they're a lot of the flower portraits, and they're beautiful. But I've really appreciated her horror covers lately.
Yeah.
That she's doing Hello Darkness, for example. I think she's got a niche there. Like she did it early in her career with like Spike and I'm a Spike, but Revival and things like that, where there's some spooky covers and horror covers, but that was kind of before she really found her style. And now you go and you see what she's doing with Revival, and it's kind of fun to see a different side of her, because she's not doing the portrait, she's doing something else.
Right.
And she's spooky, man. Like those things are creepy. You see the latest one, you know, with the face, like you sent me the picture.
Yeah, the picture, yeah.
And I maybe chat, you guys can help me out, or in chat. I know that cover is a splash page from some earlier work she did, because I saw it, but I've got a whole short box and a half full of Friston, and I just haven't had a chance to go through every single one of them to find it. And you know how it is. You open a bag and pull it. It's a hassle, right? But I know it, and I just can't figure out where it is. So if anybody knows, tell me in the chat. Save me some time. But anyway, yeah, Tedesco. Now I'm watch for him too.
Yeah.
You know, when I see him, I pick him up.
Yeah, I hope he does some more Daredevil again, because I gotta show you like his, because I have the whole one of them. You got the one in Italy that you got me.
Is that right?
That's a Tedesco cover. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that was at that point I had no idea that was the case. It was just it was a Kingpin cover, right?
Kingpin and Matt were on it. Yeah,
I thought that's why I picked it up. You know, and yeah, that's a conversation for a podcast and later maybe in the future is the collectability of foreign versions. You know, like when I'm in Italy this summer, should I just be running around just snagging foreign covers? I mean, foreign comics.
Yeah.
Just because they happen to be Italian. I mean, there's a market for it.
Yeah.
But is it really that?
Rohan and I talked about this just over text the other day. We're not like in the foreign.
I'm not either.
There's some people that are, and there's also some sellers that really want it to be something. Like
because they've stocked up.
Yeah, and they talk about like how rare they are, but it's like, dude,
they're not rare.
They're
rare here.
Yeah, they're rare here, but it's also like, I don't care that there is a limited print run on, like, I don't care that I don't know, I'm trying to think of like some random country that I see all the time.
Yeah, somewhere in Croatia, they put out they published some Spider-Mans and they just had a low print run because it's Croatia, so therefore it has value. That sort of smacks of baseball card stuff to me.
Yeah, but then also add on to the fact that they, like Croatia or like the Netherlands or whatever, like they did their first printing of Daredevil 1, for example, like 10 years after Daredevil 1 came out.
That to me, no.
It's like, that's not even close to the first appearance.
It's a reprint.
Yeah, it's at best it's a reprint. It's like,
that's what I would call that. The what's the statute of, that's not the right, I was going to say statute of limitations, but what's the time gap where you just decide, okay, this isn't just the Italian version of Daredevil 1. This is a Italian reprint of the 1964 Daredevil 1, you know.
Right.
2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, but I'm with you on that.
I would say that it would have to be in the same year to be, I don't want to say respectable, but to be like, I mean, I guess from my perspective, respectable. Like,
to be a viable alternative to the English version.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the same goes for Great Britain stuff. Like I would still say, that's great. It's it looks just like it, but it came out 5 years later. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I have actually a Daredevil 158 pants version. I think I've showed you.
Yeah.
The colors are way better.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. You got to keep that book.
I actually put it in to sell. Yeah.
How much you sell? Well, you can't say that now. You'll say that on your claim set.
I have no clue.
We'll have to have a conversation. but yeah, when I go to Italy, I will go. They're all the comic shops are the same in Italy. They're called Panini, the Panini store. And if there's other like small local, I'm not aware of it, but there's a Panini store in almost every major city, and you can go find one. And if it's weird because they print stuff in the United States at least a year earlier. So you can find things that have already gotten hot in the U.S. and are gone on the newsstands in Italy. So now I think there's a margin there.
Sure.
So I will be much more prepared this time around for that.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking for that. I know exactly where the one in Florence is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go. But what they don't have, or I didn't see, were like back issues under the counter. I didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
So different culture.
Yeah. Yeah. I just was thinking like, what if, like, I'm coming up with another country here, like Russia had never done a Daredevil 1 printing, right? And then they did one this year. Would that then like...
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not.
And
no.
I think that there's a very small difference between if Russia had did their first printing of Daredevil 1 this year compared to like if the Netherlands did it in 1975 or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's like, okay, you have a Bronze Age reprint. Like,
yeah, that's what it is. But I mean, it's fun. I bought a couple of Fantasti Quattro is what they were called,
yeah.
you know. And I got a cool Francisco Mattina cover of a Batman out there while I was there because he's Italian and that was fun. But that was more like a memento, the same way I'd buy a something at a gift shop.
Yeah.
It's okay, I looked at it.
Yeah. I had something out of that and then it just
flew out of your head.
Yeah, it just left me. Oh well.
It'll come back. As soon as you stop thinking about it, it'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, let's move into news. Really the only news here this week. Well, I have one other piece of news.
Only news that matters. No.
I mean, it's kind of a quiet month for news. Normally, there were some weeks where I was like, I had to not include stuff into the podcast because it was just too much. All right, here's the only other piece of news that I feel like is relevant. You'll like this. Nova is Marvel's trying to write some scripts, trying to get some story arcs, storyboards down so they can move forward with the show. And the one villain that they are kind of focusing on for Nova is Annihilus.
Ooh.
So
wow,
these
really?
There's all rumors and leaks, but it seems like that's the
okay. Well, that book we're talking about FF Annual 6, I think it is.
Yeah.
Has come down quite a bit.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
So, I bought it a couple years ago, and what I paid for it a couple years ago, I could get probably a whole grade higher, at least now.
Yeah.
And besides, it's a fantastic cover.
Yeah.
It's cool. And it's the first Franklin Richards.
The red, Franklin Richards.
So yeah, that'd be a book to get. I'd put that on your list. If it's not too late, I don't know. With the millions of people who watch our podcast, I think we just broke the internet. But
so that was just some leaker that so that'd be like in the second tier, anonymous, but has like a track record of being successful in the things that they leak and also not being successful. Honestly, a lot of the times though, like when people leak stuff, because from their sources, things change all the time in pre-production. So it's so they might have had the right information at the time. Yeah. But by the time the movie comes out or by the time an official announcement comes out, it changes. Who knows? So
have you heard anything with Spider-Man Noir? Because we were talking about that a while back and I haven't heard anything. It's just been, it's been nothing for months. Not a peep.
Yeah. Maybe they're just in the editing phase.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, apparently, and this was my prediction, Super Bowl, we're expected to get another Superman trailer. And also potentially either during the Super Bowl or sometime shortly after the Super Bowl is when we'll get the FF trailer. So that's the other rumor that's going around.
Oh man, I want to see that so bad. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm scared to see it.
Yeah.
Please. Please be good.
People are saying it'll be somewhat similar to what they showed at what was it? San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see.
I just want to see what they look like.
Yeah.
You know? What does Kirby look like in as Invisible Woman? You know,
yeah.
What's her aesthetic?
Yeah.
You know, for example, or Thing especially.
I want to see the Thing.
Everybody wants to see the Thing, and how do they handle the Torch? You know, like there's all of that stuff, but yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. Just Annihilus.
Okay.
Guess we'll see what happens. Hold on to your FF Annual 6s or go out and get them.
Upgrade.
Yeah, get some upgrades. But we did get the Daredevil trailer this week.
Yeah.
And why don't you go for it?
My take on the Daredevil trailer was it was everything that I hoped it would be, you know, and it wasn't a surprise to see some of the things that I saw or heard. For example, the bones crunching as someone's getting kicked in the front of the knee and it's bent backward. That's tough to watch. But we were told, hey, this is going to be more violent than a Netflix series, and so we saw some of that. It's, you know, in case you were wondering, is it going to get Disneyfied? I think we got our answer.
Yeah, no.
With the trailer. So the grittiness of it that is faithful to the. You know, I think I'll say the Frank Miller vision of Daredevil, but Chip Zdarsky same has carried that on. It's you know, still the same character that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby came up with in 1964, but it took a big leap forward when Miller took it, you know, down into Hell's Kitchen, really down into Hell's Kitchen, and brought the Kingpin over from Spider-Man, and it got dirty and gritty and nasty and messy and you know. The character of Matt Murdock and his Catholicism and all that stuff. That's the Daredevil. That's what I think of, you know, and then the tropes, the things that we're introduced to him being, you know, his origin and his blindness and all that stuff. But everything that I saw in the trailer echoes those things that I saw from what Miller kind of created with the character. So D'Onofrio, the scene with D'Onofrio and with Kingpin and Murdock. And it came out in an earlier, what was a trailer or whatever it was, we saw little snippets, but
the
leak at the restaurant having that conversation. Ooh, if that's a good indication of what the tone is, I described the action bit, but the tone, it's like
intense.
They're taking full advantage of the acting chops of their cast.
Yes.
Because you can have an amazing cast, but if the script or the directors don't allow it, you don't get the most out of it. It looked like they're like wringing the talent.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I'm gushing all over it. I realize it, but I haven't been this excited about a TV series in, you know, maybe since the very first Daredevil run. That was years ago. And it was rewarded because it was amazing. So I have very, very high expectations, and I actually expect my expectations to be maybe even surpassed.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. March 4th, which is coming up soon because February was a short month.
Good. Let's get on to get on to March already.
So it's going to be here soon, way faster. I mean, how many more episodes? Let's see, how many episodes until we talk about it?
Okay, here's a question while you look that up. Are they going to drop all the episodes at once, or are they going to go once a week?
They're going to go once a week.
Okay, I'm glad they're doing it, but it hurts that they're doing it. You know, I like that they do that because it creates the sort of mass communication community experience. Like everybody's watching it together, and the next day everybody's talking about it. The electronic water cooler on X or wherever, Threads or whatever. That's what that is now, and it's fun. It's fun to be a part of that.
Yeah. So let's see here. So recording days left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 more recordings left, not including this one.
Okay.
And then on the 7th one, that's when we'll be talking about.
I have a feeling that on that day you're going to show up like in a Daredevil mask.
Dude, maybe. Yeah, the trailer, it was great. I mean,
yeah,
they showed from every aspect. This is not Disneyfied. This is not, we're breaking bones, we're snapping arms, we're snapping knees.
Oh gosh.
Love scenes, like from every angle they showed us. This is not a PG show. And I'll make this connection. So if the Netflix series was like Frank Miller's run, like Levels of Dark, and if Charlie Cox and D'Onofrio are saying that this is even darker than that, then this might be reminiscent of his The Man Without Fear 90s run, because that miniseries, if you guys have never read it, is dark.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the darkest thing I've read in comics. I don't read like indie horror stuff.
Frank's dark, man.
Yeah, I don't read indie horror stuff. I would put it up there with like the scene in Alan Moore's Killing Joke when he takes Commissioner Gordon into the roller coaster and shows him all the pictures of his daughter. Like, it's just that level of like diabolical. Just Kingpin's a human trafficker. Like
that doesn't. What's darker than that? Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what I feel like Froggy. I feel like Foggy or
Foggy gets froggy.
I feel like Foggy or Karen are gonna die.
Yeah,
I could see it happening. Karen obviously dies in the comics. Spoiler alert. So it might be too predictable. Maybe they go with Foggy, but
man, I sure hope not Karen. For a lot of reasons, but I just think that the actor who plays Karen is so good.
Yeah,
I mean, so is Foggy, but she's, maybe I'm influenced by having watched the John Bernthal.
Punisher.
No, his podcast that he does.
Oh yeah.
Where he had her on and they talked, and I just grew even more in appreciation for the acting choices that she makes and why and her method, and so I became a much bigger fan of hers even than I was, and I want to watch. I want to, now knowing what she's revealed about her approach to playing this role. I want to see more of it.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't. Yeah, I don't. You're probably right. Like, if they're going to be that dark, the stakes have to be pretty high. Like, they got to let you know we're not afraid to kill people you love.
Yeah.
Which, woo.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it could really be either of them. Like, obviously, comic wise, I mean, kind of in Daredevil's world though, like Karen is the only one who's like died and not come back. But a lot of other people I guess his dad and Karen, but like Foggy's died at one point and Foggy came back. Like
Elektra
died and came back. So there's that like mystical element that Daredevil has. But yeah, so I don't know. With Detective Cole North in the show, that could give Foggy some insurance. That's a little bit of a Zdarsky teaser. So yeah, I mean, but they could just be not stealing. They could just be using Detective North and not be connecting it to anything from the. Right. But even then, it's like, I don't know, because he said Matt told Kingpin when they were at the diner that he had crossed a line, and that's kind of like how I think it's been a while since I read Zdarsky, but I think Zdarsky like inherits that and like deals with the ramifications of that in the beginning of his run. So, or maybe he did it in his run. I don't remember, but
it would be tough to lose Foggy from the Daredevil story arc, because he's the only guy who knows him from his college days, his old friend. Like and that's a connection to like when he met Elektra. So you lose a lot if you lose Foggy.
Foggy just annoys me in the comics, man. Sometimes they just like lean too much into it, because it like at some point it's like just get over it, bro.
Yeah, dude, shut up.
Like just this is what he's doing. Like you can't keep tearing yourself apart.
Yeah.
About it. I understand you care about your friend, but like it's like he only loves Matt, or like wants to be around Matt when he's not Daredevil, which I feel like might be a tension that we get again in the show, because Matt said he's taking a break. Obviously the blip happened, so we're going to find out a lot about what happened with these characters during the blip. Obviously we also saw Kingpin and Hawkeye and Echo, and he was like a lowly mafia leader at that point. So he's climbed up in the world since then.
So there'll be no Echo appearances, right, in this?
Oh yeah, maybe.
I mean, I hope. I mean, I like the Echo character. I hope it's just if there is an Echo appearance, I hope it's kind of a ancillary thing, not stick anything into the storyline, because I don't think that. Well, I don't know. Listen to me. They can do what they want, but if they're, I don't know how true they're going to be to the. They can't be too true to the Born Again series, because they've already done some of that, or at least it was done by Netflix.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more of just like a play on words with that.
Yeah.
Just kind of the revival of the show.
Yeah, I got bitten by the play on words with the Star Wars, the Last Jedi. I bought a Star Wars. I don't remember what issue it is, but I bought it before Episode 8 movie came out, and the cover it said The Last Jedi, and there's speculation they might be leaning on something from that comic book. I wish they had, because what they did in the movie was terrible, in my opinion. But it had nothing to do with the comic, so I paid more for it than I should have, and now it's just kind of your basic run of the mill. Like the first appearance of the bones of the mythosaur is worth more than
Yeah, I have quite a few. There's a FF. What is it? 60 something? 58. Where it says Doomsday on the cover.
Yeah.
With Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, yeah.
Avengers Doomsday comes out next year, which I think they're starting production on that soon. So, Daredevil trailer. I mean, I could talk about that the entire episode, but we got to cut ourselves off.
It's not going to leave this room, but we'll be revisiting this in the weeks to come leading up to it, because we'll get more.
Yeah.
Right. So every time something new comes up, every rumor, we'll be talking about it, because you and I both. He's in our top. Daredevil's in our top 3 of favorite characters.
Yeah.
So we couldn't be bigger fans of this character, and so we're gonna talk about
Daredevil 1's in your future.
That's one of my market predictions. Is we'll get into that in a bit, but obviously the whole I think this Daredevil run is going to affect it.
All right, well let's get into it. Market predictions for 2025. So let's talk. The entire market, up, down, market niches. What do you think? Like, you think certain characters is going to be their year, certain titles this is going to be their year. It's just a whole whatever, from top to bottom, big scope to little scope. What do you think?
I think on the broad sense, I think the market. I don't just think it. The data shows it. The market has receded now back onto the trend line that you could establish from the 80s, 70s on, the sort of this line of appreciation of values along these indices, Bronze Age, Silver Age, Golden Age, whatever. The boom of 2021, whatever, has now been flattened back down to the regular line. So I in some cases it's gone even beneath that line, and where it's gone beneath that line, I think those are values to pick up. And again, this is not professional investment advice, but as far as my looking at the overall market, I think it's now ready. A lot of these books that have tumbled are at the bottom now. I know people have been saying that for a while and all that, but now it's not just based on wishful thinking. It's based on the data, historic data that you see from these comic books all these decades. So I think we're going to see not another big boom, a big run or anything like that. I just think we're going to return to your just typical. If you buy a key now, you can expect that there'll be if it's a blue chip key. You're not going to see it go below much what you paid for it. I think it's just going to kind of go. Will certain books run? Of course they will, because they always do. But I think the general market will be that, and because of that, I think the velocity of these books is going to grow. I think people are going to be willing to buy. Yeah, not necessarily to spec, but because they can buy without fear of seeing it be worth 20% less in a year. So I think we're going to see a lot more movement, of books even than we see already. So. That's the general market. I don't know. You want me to keep going about other things?
Keep going,
okay. Yeah. As far as like what books will, or what runs will be, moving one way or the other. I mean, some of the things are obvious, like Daredevil. Well, I'll start with the movies. Fantastic Four is going to break out. Like I'm going to say that with confidence. Even if the movie doesn't do well, it's going to break out, because not for one reason only, and that is this is just the first of many exposures FF are going to get in the MCU. Yeah. Like it's not rise and fall in one movie like it did when the prior movies that didn't do very well. Now they're in the MCU. We're going to see them a lot. These characters are a lot. So if the movie does well, they'll break out more. If it doesn't do well, they're still going to break out, because they haven't yet. The Fantastic Four as a title is so much less valuable, not in the keys, but in just a general sense, than say the Spider-Man run or some of the key Iron Man appearances, things like that. So I just think it's long overdue. Look, no one's going to get shocked by, at Fantastic Four issue number 1, issue number 5, issue number 4. Those aren't creeping up on anybody. Everybody already knows at 40, 48, 49, 50. Those aren't creeping up on anybody. Everybody already knows those. But there's a lot of books in between the cracks of those books that haven't really moved yet. Like first appearance of Medusa, for example. Can anybody even name what it is? Yeah. It's FF38, right? I think. Even I'm not. No, 36. Yes, 36. So there's a lot of books that are just going to make a move from the Silver Age, but even some of the Bronze Age, even though it's not the greatest. And I definitely think the 80s FFs are going to run.
So I'll throw a book that I think is severely underpriced for a very important character. And especially an important character when it comes to Secret Wars. Maybe was he in the 80s? I think he was. Maybe he was in Secret Wars 2 instead of the first run, but definitely in Hickman's Secret Wars run. FF20, First Appearance of Molecule Man. Mm-hmm. That character. That book is, you can get that book, you can get like a 5.0 for like $500.
Yeah.
And that character is integral to Hickman's Secret Wars Avengers run. So,
and it hasn't moved yet.
Hasn't moved yet. So I have a really low grade copy, like a 1015 copy, but that's a book that I'm always keeping my eye out, looking for. Mm-hmm. He's on the cover. Yeah,
that's a good one.
What's his name? Reese. Do you know his name? Something Reese.
But it's a good. I like that. Also in the top 20. I think of like the increments of the Fantastic Four. It's the first 26, not the first 25. The first 26 issue, because 26 is part 2 of the storyline from 25. Owen Reese. Okay, but certainly getting one in the top 20 is pretty sweet, right? You can get a top 20 FF at all. That's a good prediction, actually, because that's what I say about the Fantastic Four. Almost every issue in the first 40 or so issues is the first appearance of somebody. Yeah. So any of those characters that first appear in those early FFs is fair game now that the FF's in the MCU. And the movies are coming out. So I think the FF's going to run. It hasn't actually started yet. So if there's some FF that you want, you still have time, but not much.
Prioritize FF52. 100%.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because the Eyes of Wakanda is coming out, and we know that now that T'Challa looks like it's going to be recast
potentially. Yeah,
so that's a rumor that's a rumor that I'm really excited about. So yeah, that's a great prediction.
Yeah,
that book crazy inexpensive.
It's ridiculous.
You know, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's relatively cheap.
I mean, yeah, relative to what it's been in the past.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be that cheap.
Can anybody explain? We should do a poll. Like, can anybody explain to me why FF48, the first Silver Surfer, is worth so much more, exponentially more than the book that came out 4 months later, Fantastic Four 52, First Black Panther? Which of these two characters has made a bigger impact in the Marvel world, movies and comic books?
Yeah,
I don't think it's debatable.
Right.
It's Black Panther. Which one do you think has the biggest future? It's Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which one has the bigger census count by a mile? FF48. All the market indicators suggest that FF52 should be worth more, but it's worth probably a fourth. But that's going to change.
Yeah.
But FF48 is going to go up too, because Surfer's going to make an appearance in some form.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But anyway, so
that Surfer.
Yeah.
A Silver Surfer.
Not Norrin Rad, but
yeah.
But okay, so Fantastic Four is going to run. I think Daredevil. I don't think the Miller Daredevil is going to run because we've already kind of done that. But I think your Daredevil run's going to run. The Zdarsky storyline.
Yeah,
that's going. It's already going.
There's a lot of first appearances in there. There's Detective Cole North. Butch, I think, makes his first appearance, which is the illegitimate son of Kingpin. So you have in the ASM, it's like in the 70s or the 80s, you have the Rose, who's Kingpin's son. But then you have Butch, who's Kingpin's illegitimate son, who is also like hates his dad, is also like a gangster. Like a really interesting storyline.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and there's a handful of other first appearances as well.
Yeah, I think
Superman.
Well, Superman's an interesting one because when we talk about Superman keys, there's not a lot of people that can even be at that end of the swimming pool. So I'm not even going to talk about Action 1 and Superman 1 and the first run of all. But let's talk about Silver Age Superman. We can assume Golden Age Superman's going to go up.
Yeah.
It's going to go up. So I mean, some of those are accessible, and I would suggest buying the covers that show Superman doing Superman things.
Yeah.
And everybody loves the yellow covers with Superman, just like Batman. But I actually think there will be a lot of people who say, hey, I want to get Superman. I want to get in on Superman as a collector. So what do I get? I don't have the money for first Supergirl. I don't have the money for first Crypto. I don't have the money for, a lot of these things, first Lex or whatever. Okay. But what can I do? What can I get? There's plenty to get. And those are the books that I'd say are in the 70s and 80s and 90s that have they're noted in like the price guides and things like that, but they're not worth a lot. Like the Alan Moore run when they rebooted Superman, I think the storyline was Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, and there's an issue in Action, and then it concludes in Superman, and it's So Long Superman, and then John Byrne comes in and reboots it. I think that book has a lot of potential because it is a key Superman, but it's like $20 or $50. Like, I think the less expensive, more modern key Supermans are going to go up a lot because those are the ones people can get their hands on.
Yeah.
So
there's also some slept on Neil Adams Supermans.
Yeah. There's the one everybody knows, which is him breaking the chains. Everybody knows that one, but there's a lot of other ones.
There's a handful of other ones that I never see. Like, I shouldn't say never see. I don't see as often in claim sales.
Yeah. And Superman adjacent stuff too has. No one's ever really done. It's never been much of a run except for things like First Dark Side for like the Jimmy Olsen or Lois Lane titles. There's where you can get cool keys for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Specifically the ones that have the checkerboard on the top.
Yeah.
I just think there's some really cool covers from the Bronze Age of Superman that are just sitting out there. I think they're going to go up. So I predict that. Let me think here. Anything that I'm I know I'm probably missing something really significant. I do think. I don't really want to. Okay, we talked about this a bit off a couple days ago off camera. You know, the Silver Surfer run. You know, the original Silver Surfer run. I don't have a prediction about what it's going to do. I just don't think it's going to do anything, you know, necessarily. But you know, and I'm not going to talk about that because I really haven't thought through that enough. It's more just my own musings on that one. I'm not sure about that, but the things attached to the motion picture and the TV series are going to go. But okay, here's one. I think this is the year finally that the perceived discount for a CBCS book is going to go away. I really think so. Like, I think everybody in the hobby is kind of in a wait and see position with CGC, where CGC had a bad year in 2024. We're all frustrated, and we don't have to recount all the things. Everybody knows what they are. But the latest thing is just the wait. You know, they're restructuring. They fired a lot of people, and all of a sudden now it's 9 months to get a book graded. Yeah. You know, and unless you want to do the walkthrough thing, and then you know pay a lot of money. Already people were saying, like I was, and I'm still sticking to this, I don't want to send CGC my modern stuff anymore. Like I'm still not convinced about they're not going to come back with a bend. You know, we'll see about that. But CBCS, I recently picked up a really good deal on a CBCS book. I think those days are coming to an end. I think the discount for CBCS is going to disappear. Not completely disappear, but the gap's going to close. So if you've got CBCS books and you're thinking about selling them, I would wait. And if you're thinking about getting a book and you can't, and you're trying to squeeze in your budget, and you see a really good, you see a CBCS book that's at a discount, I wouldn't hesitate to pull the trigger.
I got a couple CBCS books on this wall.
Yeah.
First Echo, signed by David Mack, and then right above your head, David Mack, another cover.
Yeah, which you got at a ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I paid. It's either $8 or $12 for that. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. So,
and I predict this is the year that I finally get over selling my Nova 1 for like 10, for 10 cents.
That's funny.
I've actually it's not even a prediction. It's more of an admission. I've let it go.
Let it go. There you go.
Like you guys, right? You have your bad beats in the hobby, but there's a certain point where you just have to put it in the past, and then be willing, like for me, to say, well, if I see the book for a good deal, I'll buy it. But for the longest time, I'm like, I'm not buying that book. I can't buy that book. I owned it and I sold it for nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah.
In a garage sale at a Longbox. I just didn't realize.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, doesn't matter anymore. I'm over it. You're like copium. No, but
you sound like you're over it.
But look, I'm over it enough to I've let's put it this way. I've put it behind me. Well, that means I'm over it. I don't know, but I put it behind me to the point where I'm willing. If I want it in my collection, I'll go buy it.
Buy it right now.
And I'm okay.
Buy it right now on eBay. All right. All good? My turn?
Yep, your turn.
All right. My market predictions. Mine are a little bit different than yours.
Okay, cool.
We share some for sure. So like I'm not going to repeat. Like I share your sentiment with FF. Like I do think it's their year. I have a massive run of FF. I'm just sitting on it. I said this, we were featured on Absolute Game of Nerds the other day with Rohan and JP. And I said this on their, they did a live stream podcast that we were on. I said this on theirs. I'll say it to you guys here. When that trailer drops, guaranteed within a few days, I will be live with a claim sale, selling YFF runs, getting you guys these books.
Yeah.
So yeah, I share the sentiment there. Superman, yeah, it's tough. Like I agree, like because Superman is just it's golden age, like mostly, and there's not a lot of Silver Age, Bronze Age stuff for him. It's kind of like unfortunate. Like Batman has a lot of Silver Age and Bronze Age stuff,
right?
I mean,
what about like adventure comics? Because we were looking at that when we were at San Diego Comic-Con. Like there's a whole run of adventure comics that has some stuff, but it's not because of Superman. It's got like other first appearances.
Yeah, it's like random characters. But I think Superboy could be a good play. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people interested in that, and I'm curious if we'll ever see anything, get anything. Maybe we'll get, or I think we will get some flashbacks in the movie. But the Superboy stuff is like cool. Like, I mean, people really kind of come down on the Henry Cavill stuff.
Yeah.
And they say like, oh, he was my opinion's kind of changed on it, but they say like, oh, he's not Superman. He murders, blah, blah. Like I said, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I saw some people draw comparisons to Christopher Reeve's Superman killed Zod, and he looked happier while he did it than compared to when Cavill did it. And nobody dunks on Christopher Reeves as Superman like that. But somebody made the note, like, Henry Cavill Superman, we got a look into Superboy, and it's proof that Henry Cavill, like, really was like a pure of heart Superman, because they did that flashback to when they were in the school bus in Man of Steel. I don't know if you remember this scene. But was it they fell off the bridge or something?
Yeah.
And he saves everybody. And essentially, like, a couple kids saw what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them, like, tells the school, and, you know, they
don't believe it.
They go and tell his parents, like, hey, your son, like, something's going on. And Kevin Costner is like, you guys are crazy. You didn't see anything. Like, but he just, that was like kind of, that is like a Superman thing to do. Like, he risked his identity.
Yeah.
So I think if we get some cool Superboy flashbacks in the movie, I think we could see some Superboy run. Daredevil. I'm kind of more interested to see what Daredevil 1 does, if it'll bump or not.
I think it should bump just based on the fact that there's a unexplainable gap between that and the other Mount Rushmore Marvels from the 60s that needs to close. So
I think Rohan said this in that live stream we did with them, and I didn't have the time to disagree with him, because I would have gone into a debate with him. But he was saying how, like, Daredevil is not like in that echelon of like X-Men, those like Silver Age appearances. X-Men had to go into reprints.
Yeah.
For how many years were they in? Like 3-4 years?
3 or 4 years. Yeah. It was pretty sad.
Like they got saved by the skin of their teeth. They're getting actively carried by
Chris Claremont saved them.
Right. And they're being actively carried by Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, Wolverine and Deadpool, honestly, is carrying, and he's not even part of the X-Men, but he's carrying the mutants. Like, I see X-Men 1s, and I'm like, I don't understand it's the movies, they're all, I would say they average at mid. Like, maybe Days of Future Past is the best one. All the other ones, they're not rewatchable. Like,
I disagree. I like them.
I do like the first.
The first trilogy was good.
I thought it was okay. I did like the first prequel one.
First Class?
First Class. I did like that one.
Yeah, that was
First
good.
Class and Days of Future Past. Those are the only rewatchable ones for me.
Okay.
Apocalypse. I mean,
yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Psylocke is in it, so
but it was, look, it's nostalgia because X-Men were everything in the 80s. They were the biggest title, but you're right, Wolverine,
Frank Miller,
and then but Daredevil, of course, jumped right in there when Frank Miller took it, and then when Miller went on to Batman, he rejuvenated Batman again. So yeah, but the X-Men, I agree. X-Men 1 to me is overvalued, whereas Daredevil 1 is undervalued. I think those two should be worth about the same, at least the same.
Don't get me started on Giant Size X-Men 1.
Yeah, I know you hate. Look, I love the book. I just don't love how many copies are around versus the price. That's all it is. Like, I would love to own that book, but I can't pay that price.
Yeah.
When or even Hulk 181. I mean, I've got a picture. We were at one of it wasn't even San Diego, I don't think, but it was one of the cons, and I took a picture because it was so remarkable. There was a wall, and there were about 13 Hulk 181s on the wall. For this one dealer. I'm like, these are so not, they're so past being rare. But anyway, yeah, back to your, I would rather own, and this is sacrilege to a lot of people, but financially it doesn't make sense. But if someone had an X-Men 1 and a 5.0 and a Daredevil 1 and a 5.0 and said, which one do you can take one, but you can't sell it. Because if you can sell it, then I'll take the more expensive one. But you got to keep it in your collection. I'm taking Daredevil 1.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't even like the cover of X-Men 1.
No, it's right over there on the ground on my
Where it
rug.
belongs. No, just kidding. I mean, I like the book, but Daredevil 1, man. Daredevil 1.
Yeah. He's the most. I'm not going to go down this conversation any more than what it is, but street level, that's like one of the arguments is like, oh shoot, Spider-Man street level. He's not some crazy like.
Right.
Yeah, it's a street level. So like all the arguments, they don't make sense. Daredevil, he's the GOAT. I'm sorry.
I love him. I think he's great.
He's the GOAT. And when Claremont was doing X-Men, Miller was doing Daredevil all around that same time. So it's like
Perez was doing the New Teen Titans. I mean, it's pretty sweet to be reading comics at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. But I mean, I'm saying like X-Men had to be revived from reprints because nobody wanted to read it. Daredevil was getting close, but he never got into reprints.
No, he didn't.
There was still fresh stories being told, and then Miller came in, totally just revamped the stories. They went on. I think Claremont did Claremont write? Or I'm thinking of Byrne.
So. Yeah.
Byrne did some covers for Daredevil, I think.
I think he did. Yeah.
And then I mean, and then the early 2000s, I mean, from David Mack, like the David Mack run of Daredevil, and just that whole volume 2 is so good. I've read like up to like issue 50 of that run, and I mean, I think that's maybe like a third of that volume 2. It's so good, and the way that they rotate between like, okay, for the next 10 issues, we're gonna tell like a Matt Murdock story, and it's like very like lawyer, and it's like it's just written so well, and then I'm like, okay, now we're gonna go back to Daredevil, and it's that whole volume 2 is so good. And then you have the Charles Soule run with Muse, which is excellent. It's a Darsky run. I don't have to tell anybody. The Mark Waid run, I've never read the Mark Waid run, but a lot of people love that run. Like it's been nothing but bangers for Daredevil.
Yeah.
And Daredevil has been a hit on TVs and movie screen for a quick second in No Way Home since 2015. Like there's nothing about the character, both in comics and on screen, that means that he should be as cheap as he is.
Right.
X-Men, hit or miss. It really is hit or miss. And they have to keep relying on Wolverine to keep him alive.
Yeah, that's true. And the extensions off of the Dark Phoenix saga, whether it's Maddie Pride or like, Kitty Pryde or Madeline Pryor's. I got it mixed up. Yeah, Kitty Pryde, not Kitty Pryde. I would say Madeline Pryor. What they did with the animated series. But that's all stemming from that same 80s period where so they're really milking that to dry, right? Whereas Daredevil, they don't keep going back and retelling the Elektra story. They've done that once or twice, but they have so many other story arcs that they've explored. And that's the other thing. This is not really an if, but Daredevil has this whole street level world, right? That also includes other superheroes. Some we've seen in the Netflix series, like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and I'm missing a few, but some we haven't seen with Daredevil, but we have seen, like Moon Knight is the one that like there's as that universe.
Doom. I got the covers here.
Yeah, as that Kingpin, like we know that, right? As that universe
Spider-Man
expands and is successful, Daredevil rises with that because he's one of the key players in it. So I just think. There's that story, as we know, doesn't need the big screen.
Yeah,
it can be told on a big screen, but it works just fine in a series, and maybe that's the advantage it has. So yeah, I'm so with you on that.
Yeah.
Daredevil is on Mount Rushmore. I'm sorry, I don't know how you could not put Daredevil on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and they did Dark Phoenix Saga twice in the movies. How uncreative or how much like of the source material are you like afraid to pull from? Because you're like, is this gonna do well? I don't know. Okay, let's just do Dark Phoenix again. Like, who cares if the people already see it? We have better CGI this time. Like, it'll look better.
And to go back to that too, X-Men kind of seeded a lot of their prowess because, for example, like one of the hottest properties right now is Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Right. Elizabeth Olsen is the reason for that, and some really good writing with WandaVision and all that. But when you see the Scarlet Witch, what's the Marvel superhero group that you think of? It's not X-Men, even though
Avengers.
It's the Avengers.
Yeah.
She starts off with an X-Men, but she
they quickly moved her
as
away.
an Avenger, and so they didn't really. I don't know. There's a reason they struggled. There's a reason X-Men struggled and went into reprints.
Yeah, Magneto's like the coolest part of the X-Men.
100%. I think he is the most compelling character. Yeah. And Professor X. I think those two characters are. And Wolverine is great. I love that character. But Wolverine can stand on his own. Yeah. So you almost don't think of him as an X-Men. It's weird.
Yeah.
So that's a great prediction. Keep going.
Yeah. So Daredevil 1. I don't know. Maybe the Miller run might get another hit. The Zdarsky run. As much as I want it to hit, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It'd be great. But so there's that. Now, as far as like general market stuff, this is where I have a different opinion than you.
Okay.
So we've referenced this a few times, quite a few times actually. When I did the trade with Jaws for the FF5.
Oh, right.
He said he thinks that the market is going to boom again because it follows cards.
Yeah.
And cards boomed in 2020, 2021. And that's when comics blew up in 21, 22. He still hasn't seen it yet. It's been a few months since we did that trade. However, this month, Pokemon cards are through the roof. The last day and a half in my office, I haven't even looked at a comic. I've been filtering through all of my Pokemon cards because there's so much money in it right now. It's insane. It's bananas, honestly.
Yeah. Sell.
Yeah, we're liquidating our collection. Some of them I'm like, the prices just keep going up, and I'm just like, man, is this the time to sell? Like, I don't know. Like, it keeps going up. So I think people are just excited about Pokemon again because there's some really cool sets that came out. Some great cards. So obviously that's making people nostalgic for some of the older stuff. And so there's that. And I think all it's going to take is one of these movies. If FF hits, people are going to get... all it's going to take is one movie for people to get excited.
True.
That's it. It can't be a movie that's like, oh, that was fun. I had a good time. It's got to be a movie that gets people excited.
Yeah.
It's got to be so good of a movie that when somebody's done watching it, they're just like, oh man, I got to like take a look at my collection again. It's been years.
Yeah.
And then they go back and they look and they're like, oh man, this is exciting. And they catch the bug.
Yeah.
Just looking through like it's got to, or it could be a TV show. I think movies just there's a broader general audience that it hits compared to TV shows. But yeah, I think if FF is big, if Superman is big, if we get an Avengers trailer this year, because I know they're going to start shooting soon, I think it's just got to get people excited. And it can't be, it's not going to be Lobo. It's not going to be Supergirl. Like, no. It's got to be one of these staple characters on the big screen specifically.
I hope you're right, because that's fun for everybody in the hobby.
Yeah,
you know, it's fun. It's fun to see books changing in value week by week. That's a blast. You know, that's fun. I hope you're right, man. I mean, I'm not arguing the point with you. I mean, at the very least, I think it's resuming its upward trend. If people, like you said, just en masse jump back in, all the better.
Especially with the summer, with the summertime movies, when it's Jurassic Park, Superman, FF. I mean, that's just a month of nostalgia right there.
That's true. It's obviously tied to what's going on in the economy, and this is this thing that happens in our country once every 4 or once every 8 years, where we have a new administration coming in or a new old administration coming in, and so there's a lot of room for speculation about what we're going to be, how we're going to look economically in the country and the world. Depending on where you land there, if there changes are afoot, so we'll see, right? If that translates to the economy doing well, comics will follow that too.
Yeah.
Discretionary money is going to go somewhere.
Yeah. It's usually always scared money just before the change of hands and just after the change of hands. But kind of once all of that settles, that's when kind of things resume back to normal. We've seen it with like the content stuff, like just kind of, I think everybody's just like bracing, but it happens no matter who's taking office. Like, it's just a change of power, and so it's like, what's going to happen? Like,
speaking of that, those stocks that I bought, and I was telling you about. I don't know if you've been tracking them at all, but they're all so volatile. Like, they'll go up 3, 5, 10%, and then they'll go down 8%. They'll go up. They're very speculative.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin dropped down to like 91, and I think
103 this morning.
Yeah, 103. So, and that was within a few days.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
So it's just everywhere. So yeah, I think these movies, I'm really banking it on the FF movie, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the Superman movie, I think everybody is like, please do well. And if it does bad, people are just gonna be like, or not if it does bad. If it is bad, I think people are just gonna be like, well, that's what DC does. Like, they just make bad movies. Oh well. Like, whatever. And that's it. If it's good, people will react very strongly to it. But if it's bad, it's like, well, that's the norm. Like, this is what DC Warner Brothers produces. They just produce bad movies, whatever. But with FF, I think a lot of people, and I hear it when I watch other podcasts like that are kind of more focused on like the movies and cinema, not just comic book movies, but like cinephiles in general, and even podcasts about comic book movies and comic book movie YouTubers who are like, that's all they do. All of them across the board are saying this FF movie has to do well.
Yeah.
It cannot do poorly. Ooh. The Superman movie can do poorly because it's what people expect. So it's got an easier kind of tee to kind of hit a home run off of. But this FF movie, I mean, you're facing Tim Lincecum in his prime.
Yeah.
Like, and you're some single A little slugger, 5'3".
Oh, Tim Lincecum in his prime. My nickname for him was Nintendo, because he would throw a pitch and it looked like we were watching Nintendo RBI baseball. Like, the ball would go whoop. Like,
yeah, because he would fall off the mound.
Yeah,
it was so weird.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's literally like like a little leaguer who's going up against a prime Tim Lincecum, and it's just like, well, dude, he's got one swing to make it right.
please be a good movie. Oh, man.
And if both those movies crush, I mean, we're in a boom market, I think.
That'd be amazing. That reminds me of another prediction that I forgot, and that is, I think, do you guys remember the Werewolf by Night single shot show that came out about a year ago? It kind of came and went. It was this thing. I really liked it. I liked the tone of it. I liked the storytelling. I loved how they treated Man-Thing in it.
Yeah.
I think
I rewatched it recently. It was fun.
Yeah, it holds up. It's really fun. The Bloodstone stuff, the Legion of Monsters, like all that everyone was talking about for a while, and then it hasn't really come up lately. I think in this sort of quiet in between time would be a really good time to pick up, some of those books. Like, some of them are too expensive maybe for you, but some of them, like I think Man-Thing, and I talked. That was my show and tell last week. I think Man-Thing is and Swamp Thing both. They're always going to be tied, but I think Man Thing's is going places.
Yeah.
Because it's never, ever been treated by Marvel until now.
Let's do this. Let's pick one key book that you think it's their year.
Book that hasn't ever really or just any book at all.
Any book. It could. Don't pick like a first appearance of Jimmy John the Third. Like
okay, yeah.
But
gotcha.
like a state like it could be like a. I mean, we already said Daredevil 1, so like there's that. But like maybe like a first Electra. Like if you think like this is, I don't think it is, but like a book like that. That's like it was. It was pricey at once.
Yep.
And it's not anymore. You can get that book really cheap. Do you have like could be like a Luke Cage, Iron Fist? I don't know.
Okay.
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
That's a we've already talked about FF52, so I really can't say that one, although I do feel that one is
I think
it may be this year, maybe next year, but it's gonna go.
Yeah, it's coming.
But I guess any book at all. Wow, my gosh, that's you want to go first? I need to think about it. I gotta think.
Let me see. I have one. I mean, it's come down a lot. I'll throw this out there because it's the only one that's coming to mind, and then maybe if you come up with one and I can think of another, then I'll do that. But I think Secret Wars 8 and ASM 252. Black Suit with Avengers coming up.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man, I think, is going to be like he's going to take, it's going to be Spider-Man and Doctor Strange who are leading the Avengers. And we know that it's going to be, I mean, Secret Wars, that's when he gets the black suit. So I think those are just such iconic covers.
Yeah.
They've been homaged. I mean, 252 is an homage to AF-15.
Yeah.
But Secret Wars 8 has been homaged a million times. I think we could see a bump in the black suit, a pretty significant bump. So that's just one off the top of my head.
Man, I mean, okay, I'll do one that's obvious and one that is laughable, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay. The obvious one is Fantastic Four 49. That's obvious. It's already worth a lot, but I'm going to say 49 because I think this may be the year that 49 could it possibly eclipse 48?
Close the gap at least.
I think it will.
It should. It's a better cover.
I think it's going to close the gap. I think Fantastic 49.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, 49 is because it's time. It's Galactus is coming.
Because I mean, we know that 48 and 49, like if this is 48 and this is 49, we know that those books are going to do this.
Yeah.
But could those books do this?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think they can.
I think that's a good pick.
So I'll go with that. And then my out of left field one, which it's actually two books because it's a debated first appearance, but I'm going to say Conan 23 and 24, first Red Sonja.
Red Sonja.
I have no idea what's going on with Red Sonja. All I know is that it was supposed to be a movie, and see, I told you it's laughable, right? But that's why I say it's totally out of left field. Have you heard any rumors at all? Like, I never saw the trailer. I never talked to anybody who saw the trailer at SCCC. I have no idea what's going on with this movie.
Was there a trailer?
Or yeah, there was supposed to be one.
I have no clue.
I haven't heard anything. So my thought is the movie's so bad that it's back in post production or whatever, or it's going to be released straight to stream or who knows what. But I'm going to throw this one just as a left field thing. If I'm wrong, and it turns out that this movie is, good, whatever that means, however you define good, the character of Red Sonja just is a long-standing character in Marvel Universe, kind of akin to Vampirella, in a way where there's a reason people like that character, and it doesn't necessarily because she's had great stories,
yeah.
and all that. But having said that, try to get yourself a near mint copy of a Vampirella 1. Good luck. You're going to spend thousands, right? Conan 23 and 24. 23 is really her first appearance. I know 24 is like first full appearance. It's not true, but it is her first cover. So whatever. They're 1A, 1B. You can get them for nothing still. They're so cheap to be had. So they just are. I won't say they're undervalued because Red Sonja really has She just exists in the universe. She hasn't really done anything, right?
Yeah.
But if this movie comes out and brings any kind of positive attention to the character, they can't help but at least go up by 50%. Or even double, because it would mean they went from 500 to 1,000, which wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Sure.
So I think that's an out of left field thing. It could very easily just not. It's not going to go any lower. It's like as low as it could possibly be for a character that's been around that long.
Yeah.
But I'll just throw it out there.
All right. So I would say that Secret Wars 8 and 252, those are probably my left field, even though it's not as left field as Sonya. But yeah, I'll say for my pick, Werewolf by Night 32.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a book.
That's a great pick.
That like a 7.0 in the peak of 2021, 2022 was costing you north of 2K, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And now you can get it for like
700.
I think 600? Even that's overpriced. Yeah, you can get that book cheap pretty much nowadays. Oh wait, no, I think it's at 900. Yeah.
A 5.0 is like maybe 550.
I think I think you're right. So yeah, I mean, it's come down 100%. Oh, not what was that?
You can get it in the 9s for less than $2,000. I know that's like $2,000. That's a lot of money, but I mean, compared to what it was.
Yeah. I mean, Oscar Isaac, incredible actor. He put on a clinic in episode 5 of Moon Knight, and the character is very popular in Marvel Rivals right now. So if we're taking Marvel Rivals, which has impacted the market a little bit, I mean, that's not like a book that like your average player is kind of gonna get into. Like,
but Moon Knight has a cult following. People who love Moon Knight, they love Moon Knight,
and he's been memed a lot recently because
interesting
because of Marvel Rivals. And he's just more popularity, and anytime stuff becomes popular, there's all of a sudden lifelong fans who have read every issue. They just come out of the woodworks, which I think sometimes is just like,
well, that's a book I want. I mean, I have it, but I want to upgrade a 5.0 copy. I want a higher grade copy.
Yeah,
like I'm willing to pay the money to close the gap.
Yeah,
to get a 7.0 or 8.0.
Yeah,
but that means I have to sell the 5.0 first.
Yeah. So anyway, so people have been memeing him because in comics, Dracula apparently always owes him money, and there's some hilarious like little comic strips of like Moon Knight walking into like Dracula's office or cave or whatever, like demanding his money, and they're pretty funny.
Well, okay. So, what about just as a genre? What about Marvel horror, 70s horror? Like DC 70s horror, everybody knows it. Everybody wants it. It's made its run. It's continued to run. But nobody ever talks about Marvel's 70s horror outside of Tomb of Dracula and Werewolf by Night. Those are the two that people know about and collect. But there's like a whole
Chamber of Darkness.
Yeah, Chamber of Chills. There's Creatures on the Loose. Like there's these odd, strange titles, but that are kind of pennies on the dollar compared to what's on DC over at DC. But the DC, it's not because DC horror are these long running titles outside of like maybe House of Secrets or something, but or House of Mystery. Most of them had a short run too.
Yeah, I think the horror stuff will come with Blade, which whenever we get Blade.
Yeah.
But that's like the Moon Knight, the Werewolf by Night, that's kind of like set up the T for Marvel horror in the movies. And I think Blade, it has to get done. And I think if it gets done and people like it, then I mean, there's your Marvel horror verse, I guess you could say. So
it might be time to get Savage Tales 1. It just may be time. First man thing. I like Conan anyway.
Yeah. I've been sitting on. I've been waiting for a good copy of Tomb of Dracula 1. Not 1. Sorry, I have.
People forget that's a Neil Adams cover.
That is a Neil Adams cover. Tomb of Dracula 10, First Blade. I've seen a couple white pages too, which I look for. Some go cheap. Where if I saw the notification, I mean, I'm not even DMing. Like I'm claiming in the comments. Like that's how low they're going. I think people were really just like, dude, this Blade movie's never come out. Let me get out of this book. So if you got one, if you got a copy, a white pager, like 6.0, 7.0, maybe 8.0, but probably capped at 7.5, let me know.
Yeah.
Hit me up on Instagram, Spros_comics.
There you go. And if you have Savage Tales 1, hit me up.
At Mr. Period
At
Longbox.
Mr. Period Longbox.
Before we end, why don't you see if that thing delivered? And let's see if we got if we're going to take a pause or if we're going to end it here.
All right. Let me get my glasses to see. Drum roll. UPS supposed to deliver something to my door today.
Shout out my Laker fans, Austin Reeves, baby.
Yeah.
The future of the league.
And I would say I hope you're right because I'm a Warriors fan, but I love you, man. I hope you're right because I
bought a out of 10, only 10 made Austin Reeves card last night. Raw, not a rookie.
This is not the one you sent me because the one you sent me was a 101 and it was 25,000. I'm like,
that's ridiculous.
Not buy that.
That's maybe like a $5,000 card, like not 25,000 though.
Loading, still out for delivery.
All right.
So. Man,
what time is it?
It is 5:00. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll have
to
see the thing. Let me pull.
Or here, let me do this. Actually,
here it is. Here's the UPS tracking thing.
Let me do this.
Joshua teaches me how to use my phone. I can't believe I've become that guy because I always thought of myself as cutting edge. I was one of the first adopters of the PC.
Yeah.
Back when Apple was just putting out their first computers, I had it was an Apple clone, a Franklin Ace 1000, and I was programming in BASIC. Me and my friend made programs. I was coding in 1981, man.
Dang.
But now look at me. You got to show me how to get stuff off my phone. It's inevitability with age, I guess. So what are you trying to find out?
Trying to see if I can pull up the map, like to see where he's at on the map.
Where are you? Yeah.
Sometimes they give it, and this one doesn't. Yeah, this one's not giving the map. Sometimes with UPS,
you can track the driver.
If I log into my app, I can see, but no,
nothing.
Can't this time. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be back next week. Don't know what we'll be talking about next week. Bob probably won't have that book.
No, I'm gonna have it.
Maybe.
And, I guess we'll have a new president by then too.
Yeah, we'll have a new president, but we'll be here. Same old show.
Yeah, that's right. Some things change, some things don't, and
exactly.
we don't change.
Nothing's changing here. So, yeah. Have a good week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something creative to say, but I can't.
Yeah. No, it's right. Enjoy the first.
Drink water. Hydrate.
Hydrate.
All right. Hydrate or dihydrate. That's what I say.
Okay.
All right. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye.